Imagine this, in the middle of a high-stakes courtroom battle, Mark Agnifilo, one of Diddy's top defense lawyers, suddenly leaves the proceedings. The move was as unexpected as it was intriguing. Agnifilo, known for defending big-name clients in challenging cases, didn't walk out for no reason. Could there be hidden conflicts within Diddy's defense team? Was there a clash in legal strategies, or maybe even a twist in the case that caught everyone off guard? With the media's eyes glued to every detail, this sudden departure stirs up questions and suggests deeper cracks in Diddy's defense. Cracks that could completely change how his case moves forward.
Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Now, you can be a freak and it's not illegal, but you can't force people to do shit. And this is what I'm getting at. When you have a lot of money and you have no accountability and you want to do whatever the fuck you want to do whenever the fuck you want to do it, I think you can go a little bonkers.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
I mean, he's complaining to a teenager that you don't really want to hang out with me. Okay, but he didn't do this. Just so you know, he didn't do this. He did not do this. He doesn't have... Oh my God. Look at all that baby oil. He didn't do this. He didn't have all these bottles of baby oil for nothing.
And we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
That means when he's out of money.
He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government...
Okay, that's just dumb. He's not afraid of the charges? Wouldn't you be afraid of the charges? Where are you? You're in fucking Rikers Island. You goddamn well better be afraid. They just executed 2 search warrants. They've got obliterated serial numbers on firearms. They've got videos and baby oil. You know, what he needs is somebody to tell him what the truth is. You are f***ed. You are absolutely f***ed. You're going to prison for the good portion of the rest of your life. I guarantee you, they've offered immunity to the people around him so that they testify.
Mark Agnifilo, a seasoned attorney and Diddy's main defender, has a track record in some of the most controversial cases. Known for tackling high-stakes legal battles involving racketeering, trafficking, and complex white-collar crimes, Agnifilo has proven himself under immense scrutiny. His previous defense of figures like Keith Raniere, who was ultimately convicted on serious charges, showcased his skill in maneuvering through cases riddled with controversy. Now, Agnifilo's involvement in Diddy's defense speaks volumes about the severity of the allegations and the intense legal strategy at play. But with his abrupt exit, a shadow hangs over Diddy's team. Is this a sign of deeper issues in the defense? Or is there a more calculated reason behind Agnifilo's sudden departure? As speculation mounts, it's clear that the stakes in Diddy's case have only grown higher.
The point person behind that request and Diddy's team is defense attorney Mark Agnifilo. If that name is familiar to you, it may be because you've heard it before. He's repped several high-profile defendants, like the NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere and Roger Ng, a former Goldman Sachs banker convicted of bribery and money laundering. We'll get to those cases in a second, but first, a bit about Agnifilo's history. He received a bachelor's degree in philosophy and political science from Connecticut College in 1986. In 1990, he received his Juris degree from Brooklyn Law School, and while there, even received the American Jurisprudence Award for Outstanding Performance in Trial Advocacy. Starting in 1998, Agnifilo began his work at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of New Jersey. There, he worked as the chief of Violent Crime Unit and specialized in cases involving murder, money laundering, extortion, and drug trafficking. During his tenure there, Agnifilo became a nationally recognized expert in sophisticated criminal prosecutions and the RICO statute, the very same statute that Diddy is now charged under. Agnifilo stayed with the U.S. Attorney's Office until 2006, when he began work at the law office of Benjamin Brafman, who, by the way, repped Diddy in his trial regarding the New York nightclub.
Legal analyst Bruce Rivers has weighed in on the potential consequences Diddy faces, focusing on the implications of federal sentencing guidelines for RICO racketeer, influenced and corrupt organizations act, and trafficking charges. These guidelines are known for their severity, particularly when defendants face multiple allegations that create a pattern of organized acts. Rivers noted that if Diddy were found guilty of these serious charges, he could potentially face life in prison with no opportunity for parole in federal cases. The gravity of this situation shifts the case from merely a celebrity trial to a moment when the very freedom of one of music's latest icons hangs in the balance. Rivers' take: emphasizes the prosecutorial strength of RICO cases where conspiracy can suffice to convict, making Diddy's situation more precarious.
From the freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. And you keep in mind, these victims are going to come in and testify. Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. I don't want to f*** him anymore. Too bad. You're going to f*** him some more. They also got 1,000 bottles of baby oil. They got terabytes and terabytes of videos. Remember I was telling you they got all those electronics? Somebody like this guy wants to preserve that. I guarantee you it's all there.
The RICO charges against Diddy form the core of the prosecution's case, encompassing multiple allegations under a statute typically used to combat organized acts. RICO laws allow prosecutors to argue that various alleged wrongdoings, such as trafficking misconduct or forcing, were interconnected within an organized framework, potentially creating a daunting situation for Diddy's defense. This strategy gives prosecutors a broader field to connect evidence, making it difficult for defendants to focus on disproving individual accusations without addressing the larger alleged organization for Diddy. This means his defense must dismantle the prosecution's narrative that an organized framework underlies the allegations, which include alleged trafficking and possible organized wrong acts. How might Diddy's defense approach dismantle a case structured around RICO's broad scope of interconnected wrongdoings?
On his sex trafficking charges, a judge at a hearing in Manhattan set the trial date, also discussing a gag order imposed on prosecutors and the defense, telling them not to discuss the case or provide any material about the case to the media, to the public. They contend that the government leaked a damaging piece of evidence potentially against Combs when a videotape from 2016 was played on CNN earlier this year. That video shows Sean Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel in Los Angeles. It had been a secret, private for many years, but then it came to the forefront and was played publicly on CNN. The defense contends that that tape was leaked by investigators. Prosecutors say they have no knowledge of any leak, and they refute the allegation that they were involved in any leaks. The judge says he will consider potentially having an evidentiary hearing to get to the bottom of that. That won't happen for some time. First, the defense and then the prosecution will submit paperwork outlining their positions on this.
At the start of the investigation, Diddy's legal team has maintained a firm stance denying every allegation. Lawyers like Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Gagos have taken a strong public position, arguing that Diddy's situation lacks the physical evidence typically required in severe cases. They argue that the charges are based largely on circumstantial evidence and character accusations, which they claim are inadequate grounds for conviction. This strategy aims to reduce the case to a matter of he said, she said, while questioning the credibility of allegations and witnesses. These denials attempt to redirect public perception by framing Diddy as a victim of circumstance rather than a central figure in organized acts. Will the defense's aggressive denial sway public opinion and potentially jury perception, or does the prosecution's case hold stronger grounds?
Tape recordings in Diddy's homes. Diddy appears to be a voyeur that likes to spy on people on his hidden cameras, which are wired in secret places all over his mansions. Little Rod's lawsuit revealed that Mr. Combs had hidden cameras in every single room of his home, including in the bathrooms and shower heads. The evidence revealed that Diddy had recordings of several celebrities and artists engaging in illegal activity. These individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent. Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person who has attended his freak-off parties, so the entire hip-hop industry could implode before our very eyes as the feds review the evidence. It was revealed that Diddy allegedly has freak-off footage of Beyonce.
Defense attorney Tenny Gagos has drawn notable comparisons between Diddy's case and those of Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, both high-profile cases that similarly face intense public scrutiny and controversial narratives. However, Gagos emphasizes differences, pointing out that Diddy's case reportedly lacks certain concrete physical evidence that played a role in securing convictions against Weinstein and R. Kelly, By making this comparison, Gagos aims to preemptively address and counteract parallels, distinguishing Diddy's defense from the outcomes of other recent high-profile cases. Her comments underscore the defense's intent to frame Diddy's allegations as largely circumstantial, drawing a line between perception and evidentiary reality. Does Gago comparison help or hinder Diddy's defense given the intense public focus on high-profile cases in recent years?
It's not all the time they say this, but they say this is going our way. Not the bail. They say we have them. We got a lot of people who are going to talk and say that this is what Diddy was about, and some people may pass it off as hip-hop culture, but it is a series of felonies and RICO. What do they have wrong?
They did say in court today, they've talked to 50 witnesses. We said the same thing. We've been doing a parallel investigation at every single step of the way, talking to every single there's the same kind of universe of people here that he's been around. We're talking to people to show that we have a case. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's gonna be able to show it.
Innocent means he didn't do any of the wrong things. Not guilty means they can't make the case,
He's
right?
innocent.
So you think he did none of these things? He was never present in any of these activities? This wasn't his lifestyle?
But a lifestyle and being present in activities doesn't mean he committed a crime.
Unless those activities and that lifestyle are criminal.
But those activities and the lifestyle is not criminal. What was notable today, what my partner Mark said in court, is they never once said that these women didn't consent to what happened. Not once.
Legal experts outside Diddy's defense team have shared their views, suggesting that if Diddy is convicted, he could face a lengthy sentence due to the severity of the charges and the federal sentencing guidelines for trafficking and RICO charges. Experts point to the combination of factors involved, particularly the allegations of misconduct and organized rude behavior, which amplify the severity of potential outcomes. Their public statements shape how the case is viewed, adding a layer of professional perspective that frames the trial as a high-stakes moment in celebrity legal history. These external analyses put added pressure on Diddy's defense, as such expert opinions can influence both public sentiment and potential jurors. Does the involvement of legal experts affect public and jury opinion? And can Diddy's defense effectively counter these influential statements? And
turned raunchy.
People were getting high. There were girls swimming topless, young-looking girls that were, not dressed. We moved to another part of the house so that he wouldn't be exposed to what was going on.
In later years, Diddy implemented a curfew for children.
The kids have like an hour left. So get extra comfortable, but this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to.
I think he's a monster.
This week, Houston-based lawyer Tony Busby says more than 120 people are coming forward with claims Diddy sexually abused them.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
Did Diddy assault you in any way?
When you say assault, I don't know the exact definition, but he put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way.
Diddy is now behind bars, facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. He denies all claims of sexual abuse, including against minors.
The gravity of Diddy's case has made it a point of focus for legal analysts who highlight the role misconduct and organized act charges play in celebrity trials. These experts argue that cases with RICO elements, especially when involving high-profile figures, create a precedent for how aggressively the justice system approaches alleged wrongdoings in entertainment. In this case, public opinion could be heavily influenced by analysts discussing potential outcomes and scrutinizing the defense's response to severe allegations for Diddy's team. Such external commentary complicates jury selection and courtroom strategy, as high-profile cases already struggle to maintain objectivity among jurors. Media coverage centered on expert assessments amplifies this challenge, potentially framing Diddy as already culpable before any trial proceedings fully unfold. Defense teams in these scenarios often attempt to combat such influence by focusing on dismantling specific elements of the prosecution's narrative, especially those that disagrees on emotional grounds rather than factual basis alone.
Height of his career, still very much so an icon and influential figure. So she's just a young girl from Northern California who's gonna believe that he had done something to her like this. So she didn't tell anybody. She did not hire an attorney. All she did was make the police report in the hopes that maybe the police would try to investigate and come up with anything. But she said she kind of felt from the police that they were disregarding what she was saying, even without saying Mr. Combs' name. So she didn't feel any confidence that revealing his name would have done anything.
Sure. I mean, but there's a police report.
Yeah.
I mean, that fact in of itself is a big deal, because when you're talking about going back in time and talking about these allegations from other alleged victims, you know, there's not a lot of police reports, but you guys actually have one. And is that going to be revealed? Are we going to be able to see it?
Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the criminal complaint that was made. I'll attach the number so everyone can see that this is a real number and can go to the police department there and request their own copy of that police report that was made back in 2018.
Well, that's going to be a huge deal when it happens, obviously, so we want to follow up on that. Did Mr. Combs have any reaction? Do you know if he was interviewed? I mean, he was named in the police report?
I don't think so. Based on what she said, she really felt that the police were trying to bury this and disregard her claims and not really investigate, which is another reason why a lot of victims don't report these things to the police. We have to address the elephant in the room is that we have victims, especially women, who go to the police, who are typically men, who don't actually investigate these things. They victim blame, they victim shame, and women don't feel safe or even protected to even make these claims because they don't think they'll be taken seriously, nor will their claims be
I'd like to get on a jet
Legal
with you so you
experts
can give
assert
me
that
my
if
flavor
Diddy
too.
Combs
Is
is
that how?
convicted, he could face a life sentence under federal guidelines due to the severity of his charges. The case includes allegations of racketeering, trafficking, and transportation for purposes of prostitution, with each carrying lengthy potential sentences. The most severe charge, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, has a mandatory minimum of 15 years and can result in a life sentence, especially in federal cases where penalties tend to be strict and cumulative. Moreover, analysts note that the defense might face hurdles even if they establish reasonable doubt for individual allegations. The compounded nature of RDO charges often allows prosecutors to argue that even loosely connected allegations contribute to an organized structure. This approach limits the defense's ability to isolate incidents as prosecutors frame them as elements within a broader calculated pattern. The combined influence of expert statements and public sentiment ultimately presses the defense to adopt innovative tactics to counter the prosecution's narrative effectively, knowing each aspect of the case might shape broader perspectives on accountability in high-profile cases.
Some of these stories, because I think it's important to point this out. When you highlight and you talk about some of the charges that have been leveled against him, and you see some of the stuff that's being said about him. Look at this right here. Former Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day writes, "I never thought I would see this day," she told TMZ. "We all buried this inside of us in order to be able to keep going. And not just me, but victims you don't even know yet. We're all processing what that type of vindication can actually feel like now. Every conversation I've had with victims last night has been beyond moving on all levels." That was Aubrey O'Day. You know 50 Cent was going to make sure his voice was heard. Clowning P. Diddy. Taunting him, basically, because he's long taunted P. Diddy for years over the harrowing allegations against him. And what does he say here? This is yesterday, 50 Cent. "Here I am, keeping good company with the Drew Barrymore TV show. And I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." 50 Cent was referencing the over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricants for the freak-offs that the indictment revealed were allegedly found during the raid of Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami back in March.
The indictment also details allegations of criminal enterprise where Diddy allegedly orchestrated activities involving the mistreatment of guests and even obstruction of justice. Legal analyst El Honig explained that RICO charges combined with trafficking accusations create a formidable challenge for the defense, as each charge compounds the potential sentence. Diddy's detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center MDC in Brooklyn has placed him in challenging conditions that contrast starkly with his previous lifestyle. MDC, known for its restrictive environment, environment enforces limited freedoms and austere living conditions, creating a demanding setting for high-profile detainees for Diddy. This experience likely involves both psychological and physical adjustments as he navigates life in a facility designed to limit outside contact and maintain strict security protocols. His attention reflects the seriousness of the allegations, as defendants held without bail are generally considered a potential flight risk or danger to society.
There is a reason that people say you don't want to catch a federal case. You have a federal case, the feds bring you in, you've been indicted. More often than not, I mean, what did you say the number?
95% of the time.
They're gonna get you. You're gonna be convicted of something. And that's what Diddy is facing.
Unlimited resources. It is hard to match that if you are a defendant in a case.
But it has been done, as we told you at the beginning of the show.
John DeLorean case.
DeLorean did, so it can be done, but can it be done in this particular case? We said that Diddy has incredible resources that will help, but if the case is as strong as it appears at this point, or at least as the feds have presented it, you'd think there's no chance. But maybe they're not presenting exactly what they have at this point?
Well, the thing is, it's usually, in terms of public perception, the strongest the day the indictment comes out because you haven't heard the defense.
Public reaction has also been intense, amplified by comparisons to other high-profile cases involving celebrities, adding to the pressure on Diddy's legal team to dismantle the interconnected allegations. Federal guidelines offer little flexibility for plea bargains in cases involving coercive trafficking, making it likely that if found guilty, Diddy could face substantial prison time. The case will test how far his defense can go to counteract federal prosecutorial power in a high-profile context where public perception and legal realities clash. Federal sentencing guidelines for RICO and trafficking charges present significant challenges, as convictions for these acts often lead to extended or life sentences. In Diddy's case, the potential for a multi-decade or life sentence underscores the stakes of the trial, especially since RICO guidelines include cumulative sentences that account for interconnected activity. Legal experts have emphasized the rigidity of federal guidelines, which can leave little room for leniency in cases involving organized acts. Diddy's defense faces an uphill battle, as dismantling each charge or reducing the narrative of organized wrongdoing will be essential to avoiding the full extent of federal penalties. Can Diddy's defense counter the federal guidelines and mitigate the potential for a harsh sentence if convicted? That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.